Today, with my lukewarm mug of tea, I'm about to share with you what living in Italy in 2025 has taught me, because trust me, there are some really juicy lessons. And as we are now in the final month of this year, it's about time for me to reflect on just what life in Italy has taught me over these past 12 months and could still teach me, because we've still got 4 weeks left to go, right? But the first, biggest, most fundamental, dominating lesson of 2025 has been just how your environment impacts you. Now, unless you've been hiding under a rock, or indeed you're new to my channel, you will probably know that I left Palermo in April of this year to move back to the Salerno province. Now, I'd lived in Palermo for 2.5 years. Prior to that, I also lived here in Salerno. But I moved to Palermo because I thought it was the right thing to do. I thought it was a progression in some ways. And in many ways, it was. I definitely feel I've come back to the Salerno province a much more evolved person than who left in the first place. But Palermo was not the city for me. It was not conducive to who I am as a person. I'm super precise. I'm super organized. I'm like, I tell you I'm going to do something, it's done. However, in Palermo, life does not work like that. Yes, it's beautiful for the sea, the weather, the food, the people. Absolutely, hands down, you cannot beat it. And I love how gritty it can feel at times as a city. But when you need to get bureaucratic matters done, when you've got to go and sort out some documents, when you're dealing with people who clearly do not have a clue how to do their jobs, let me tell you, you forget about all of the other positive aspects of life there. It grates on you. And literally, I was looking the other day at photos of me at the very beginning part of this year compared to how I look now. And it's like I'm looking at two different people. You can see in my face in Palermo how much the stress was eaten away at me. And here I just feel completely different. And it's not just the fact that I've changed the color of my hair, it's the fact that I feel different from within. And that is because my environment has changed. It's really funny because people will say, you know, it's just because it's Sicily, it's Palermo, it's neglected. And, you know, like the people really feel proud of their city and where they're from. And in many cases, I saw that pride. I saw how people would want to defend Palermo and to defend Sicily because it's their island. Why wouldn't you want to? However, there were many other times that I didn't see that level of pride. I would see people like throw their trash on the pavement. I would see people who would like vandalize things and damage things. And I would literally be like, where is the love? Like, is that Black Eyed Peas on? Where is the love? You tell me you love your city, but you don't show your city any respect. And so there was that aspect of life that really, really grated on me after a while. I was tired of taking Tina for walks and finding broken glass all over the pavement and it actually being a bit of an event when they swept the pavements. It was incredible. I remember documenting it as an Instagram story, being like, wow, if only it were like this all the time. So it was something, definitely a great experience, but the first biggest lesson of this year was that your environment impacts you. But now I'm back in the Salerno province, I feel like a completely different person. Things work here. There is no perfect place in Italy. I hate to tell you this, but somebody asked me the other day what the questura in Salerno was like and the organization. It all depends on who you meet. I really think it's this as well, but I've never had a problem here. And, you know, all my bureaucratic delays and issues started in Palermo because people there just didn't really know what they were doing. They were very overwhelmed by the work they had to do and how understaffed they were. It was like, that's where the problems for me began. Here, I've never had a problem, and returning back so far today, all my bureaucracy has been an absolute dream compared to what I dealt with in Palermo. And if you're wondering what I'm referring to like my change of residency as one aspect, that I had to wait 6 months for that process to go through because they didn't know how to process my carta di soggiorno, which is like my residence card that we have post-Brexit. It's incredible. Like literally my residency here where I live now was processed within a month. And that's the time frame that you should be really looking at. So it's so interesting the way that things work. And I would just say that environment is everything. If you are serious about moving to Italy, please, I'm like begging you, me and Santa together, begging you to do your research. Come and spend time in this country. It's not enough just to read about it, to watch videos about it. You've got to spend time in different parts of Italy to be able to understand where is best for you. I read all my comments on my videos. I don't always have time, unfortunately, to respond to every single one, but I read every single one. And I have seen comments from people saying, you know what, we've come to Italy, we've realized this part isn't right, we're going to go try another part. That is exactly what you need to be doing, because until you're here and you're experiencing what it's like on a more long-term basis, you will never really know where is best for you in Italy. You can come here with your expectations and your non-negotiables, absolutely, but you've got to start living life here to really know if you found your place. And don't think that if you do come here to Italy and you move to a city or town that you don't like, that you failed in some way. I left Palermo and I had a moment where I felt like, you know, goodness, we didn't really make a success of this. But then I had to just sit with myself and be like, well, what's my definition of success in Palermo? Well, it's been the fact that I've really kind of stepped up my game with my content and what I'm producing. I've learned so much from life in a different city. I've also got contrast. Prior to Palermo, I'd only ever lived in Salerno. I didn't have contrast of life in a different city. So now I've got more appreciation for when things do work because I've experienced what it's like when they don't. And not only that, but I appreciate work so much more, because the problem with Palermo is that not every sector is well represented, which is the reason we came back, because my boyfriend was really struggling with his work situation. And that, of course, put a lot of pressure on our lives. But it's not just through him. Like, I've seen other people in Palermo really struggling with work because not every industry really does well on that island. And so you've just got to change things up sometimes, and you've just got to change your environment. And people don't like to do this sometimes. You know, it's like, I grew up in this city, I want to stay here. Well, then you have to accept that your life is going to maybe be one of struggle if you do. It's the reality. And I hate to say it like this, and I really wish it wasn't like this, because Palermo, Sicily, it's got so much going for it, so much potential. It's an incredible place. I love the energy and the vibrancy of Palermo, but I'm the first person to say it's not the city for me to live in, because I see beneath all of that superficial stuff. I see how difficult life can really be in that city. And it's a shame, because it needn't be like that if more attention, more kind of love was shown to that city and that island, not just from like the government and at a regional level, but also on an individual level as well. Environment is everything. Biggest first lesson of 2025. The second big lesson of 2025 that life here in Italy has taught me is that nothing changes if nothing changes. This has been my kind of quote of the year, because it ties into my word of the year, which is evolve. Let me tell you something. If you don't change your life, this time next year, it's going to be exactly the same. You might look a little bit different. You might be a bit older. You might have some new possessions, but fundamentally, your life is going to be the same. And I realized that moving back here to the Salerno province, I've changed a lot. I now work from home. I've never worked from home ever in my entire life, not even when I lived in the UK. And this is my first experience of doing it. And my life has changed. And I feel better in some respects. It's taken some getting used to. I have days where I love it. And I have days where I feel a bit like, I don't know, not isolated, but it's a different way of working, right? But then overall, I look at the quality of my life now. I look at how much more time I have to do this kind of thing, to film, to create content. I realize that I don't have to leave the house when we have like 2 weeks worth of rain, which we've just experienced. So there are many, many advantages to working from home. And I realize that I've been able to create a space that aligns with me and the things that I enjoy, and the lighting is how I like it. I've got candles. I've decorated it in a way that makes me feel good. These are all things that you don't necessarily have control over when you work out of a physical office or building. So I'm super, super happy with that. But you see, you have to make changes if you want to experience something different. A lot of people will sit on the fence about moving to Italy. And maybe this is you. Like, you've been talking about it, you've been thinking about it, you've been umming and ahhing, weighing up the pros and cons, but you haven't actually taken any steps towards it. And if this is you, I'm calling you out right here, right now, so that you can actually get going with your dreams in 2026, because nothing changes if nothing changes. If you don't take any action to move to Italy, you are not going to move here. It's not going to happen in a miraculous moment of divine intervention. So it is this biggest thing I could ever tell anyone is this: nothing changes if nothing changes. And it ties into the third aspect that I've really learned from life here in Italy in 2025 is take the risk or lose the chance. And this is something that I have as a picture in the corridor of my home. And it reminds me every single time how you're never going to have all your ducks lined up in a row. When you build your life here in Italy, there are always going to be question marks. It doesn't matter how long you've been living here in this country. If you decide to do something different, if you decide to change an aspect of your life, you're taking a risk in some way, and there's going to be unanswered questions and doubts that arise as a result. And also, if you want to move to Italy, you're going to be risking a lot of things. Maybe you're risking your career or the money that you have or the stability or just your creature comforts, whatever it may be. There's an element of risk involved in any kind of big life decision. But let me tell you, beneath the risk is the chance. It's the chance. And I cannot stress this enough, because I realize how many risks we took in moving from Palermo back to the Salerno province. There were so many risks involved in this decision. Would I be able to adjust to smart working, like the Italian way of saying remote working? Would I be able to enjoy living back in the Salerno province again? Would I feel like it was a regression? Would my boyfriend enjoy his work? Would he even, be happy that he'd made this choice as well? There were so many risks involved in this, but it all worked out. And that's it. There is a chance underneath every risk. And if you are too afraid to take risks, then unfortunately, you're going to miss out on those opportunities and those chances. And even if things don't work out, even if something happens and you're like, gosh, that was a big mistake, you've learned something significant. And people that don't take risks don't learn new things. And that's what I really, really believe in life. You can be risk averse in some situations. It pays to take your time to consider all the options, absolutely. But at some point, you've just got to take the chance, because if you don't, I think ultimately it will become a life regret of yours. And I really do feel passionate about that. The other lesson that living here in Italy in 2025 has taught me is that connection is everything. And this is something that I want to bring into 2026 as well, because moving back to the Salerno province meant that we had to restart again in terms of building connections. And it has taken time, but we have arrived at the point now where we can say that we know people here. And it's something that makes you appreciate the way life works here so much more, because everything in Italy is connection based. If you know someone, they know someone that knows someone. If you need help, they can recommend you and refer you to someone. It's the way life works here, especially here in the south of Italy. And so I've really latched on to the importance of connection. And I've realized that every time you move and you change cities and towns, even here in Italy, you're rebuilding those connections again. And it does take time. And, it's not easy, I have to be honest with you. But it's a way to make yourself grow and evolve, because it pushes you out of your comfort zone. You're going to have to make an effort to talk to people. You're going to have to start frequenting the same places in order to get your face known. It's this. And so I've learned some really fundamental lessons this year around connection, but also connection in terms of how important it is for me to have connections in what I do with this content creation, with what I'm building. I want to strengthen my connections so much more as we move into 2026, because you shouldn't have to go it alone in life. You're much stronger with a team than you are just with one. And I realize I do a lot of stuff myself that I don't necessarily have to do alone. I could do it with the help of other people or through connections. So this is something that even I need to continue to apply into my life as we progress into 2026. But it's also the theme as well of what I want next year to bring for me, because I'm launching my expat community in January. If you're interested, the Aperitivo Lounge, I'll pop a link up here to get your name on the wait list. It's going to be limited numbers, okay? I don't want this to be this vast, overwhelming community, but that is a sense of connection that helps you to really feel sure about your decision to move to Italy. And when you actually set your life up here, to have supportive people around you who get what it means to live here and can help you to thrive in this country, because it's not easy to do so unless you have the right kind of support and advice and encouragement around you. So it's this. Connection. Italy is built on connection, okay? And so that has been a really, really fundamental lesson for me this year. And I think to wrap up this video, these have been 4 key lessons that I have learned in 2025 living in Italy. We're not done yet. There's still another 4 weeks worth of lessons to go, but I feel like they are probably the ones that are going to stick with me the most this year, because honestly, Life here can be testing and challenging, but with every situation, you can take something from it. It all depends on whether or not you really want to. And if you have been dreaming of moving to Italy, this is the video I want you to watch next, because it's time to start making that dream of yours become a reality. I'll see you in the next video.